And you're watching Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. Now, moving on to our first discussion. The Nigerian fashion industry is a sector that has recently been estimated as a 2 trillion naira industry by the Nigerian Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, and is expected to grow with the resumption of demand and increased sectoral activity. Now, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, the Nigerian fashion industry has been on an upward growth trajectory of 17% per annum in the past decade, and as a result of its continuous evolution and increasing global attention. It is, however, not without its own share of challenges. But then Jerry Yashim Mungai, mostly called Man Like Jerry by friends and family, is here in the studio with us, and he's a fashion designer, a runway model, a stylist, and also an architect, and he's actually worked with celebrities such as Denrile Adun, John Oga, international Nigerian model King Matthew Lobo, and a host of others. He joins us on the program this morning to talk about the travels of navigating the Nigerian fashion space. Good morning, Jerry, and welcome to Daybreak.
Good morning.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, it's nice here.
So can you briefly tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, just like you said, I'm Jerry Yashimungai by name, originally from Kaduna State. I was born in Kano and I lived mostly all my life in Kano. Yeah, and
that's it.
I'm a couple.
Okay,
member.
Oh, yeah, couple member. Okay.
So how did you, when or how did you, go into the fashion industry?
I think I had this thing for fashion since when I was a child. Like growing up, I like playing dress up. Like to the extent that I used some of my my dad's clothes and stuff just to like mix up some stuff and make something different from it. And there and then he was like giving me the go that this is something that you're really interested in, so you should keep on pushing it. So that was how it all started for me. Then I think predominantly 2017, I just wake up one day and I'd be like, nah, I need to start making money out of this. So that was when I heard about the Kano Fashion Week. So I quickly got some fabrics, make some stuff, and I hit the runway with my first collection that year.
Okay. So you modeled it yourself?
No, I didn't. I had to like bring in models to do that because I was trying to style them all through the event and trying to make sure that okay, I have a perfect show for the first time.
Okay, so it's been a couple of years now since you started, and fortunately you have many feathers on your cap. You're a stylist, you're an architect as well. The question now is...
You have a literal feather on his cap, right?
Indeed he does, indeed he does.
Thank you.
Now, in the contemporary society that we are, we've seen youth give up very easily. It's been a tremendous journey for you, as you have narrated. I mean, from being very young and having to play dress up all by yourself and, having these different creative ideas and all of that. I would say, what has been the motivation factor for you to keep pushing? Because I know that there has been challenges.
Yeah, one of the factor is if you have the drive in you, no matter how hard you stop at some point, you find yourself going back into it again. But if you're into it because of the money or the fame, then definitely you will get lost at some point. So I think that's the drive, because most of the time there are so many factors that will be coming and I'll be like, okay, let me take a break. But immediately that break, I'll be like, I need to go back into this because I miss going to the markets, cutting for fabrics, trying to like put one thing or the other and just looking good. I miss all of that. So it's something that if it's really in you, you can't stay out of it for long.
Okay, so let me ask now, what drives your creativity? Because being a fashion designer means you're a creative, and a lot of the idea creation comes from, design creation, perspectives and the likes of that comes from a lot of hours of sitting down to think, what do I put together to bring out this particular kind of design? So for me, it's what drives this creativity?
Okay, I would say architecture really helped me. Because that time I was spending trying to draw and all of that. And I can remember growing up, anytime I pick a pen and paper, I'm trying to like sketch something, people are like, guy, how do you do this, man? This is looking real good. So at some point, I just start sketching outfit, and before you know, sometimes I might just look at what you're putting on, and I'm like, okay, this is basic. I can just do something to make it look different, extraordinary, and before you know, I add one or two change sleeves, and that's all. Boom! I have a new different thing.
Okay, so now let's switch a little bit to modeling. How did you now land in modeling?
Modeling came as okay. The modeling was there before the fashion because I remember
Okay.
I was following this guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a model. I think early 2000s. Is it Yomi Black or something? I remember
Yomi
then there is
Black,
this.
yes.
Was it Hint magazine? Picking it up.
Hint.
Yeah, they
Dashing
used to have
Hint.
their
I don't know, but
contacts.
I'm
Hint
very
dashing.
young. I have no idea what you're talking about.
I
Okay,
was so
okay.
young then, so and I usually hide stacks of it
Yes,
because
yes. I
my
mean,
parents
it was
won't
a
allow
really
you.
colorful magazine then.
Yes, so my
Yeah.
parents don't allow us access all those things. By then.
Yes,
So I used
true.
to hide stack of it. I remember then I saw him modeling and I saw his contact, and then he was in Lagos. So imagine a young kid living in Kanu aspiring to be a model. It was so difficult. I don't even know how to come out to my parents at that moment that okay, I really love this thing. It will be another.
And that was when parents would rather you're
Yes,
a doctor or a pilot or a
yes,
lawyer.
yes.
All right, now you talked about living in Kano. How has Kano, the whole Kano space actually treated you when it comes to modeling, most especially fashion designing?
Saying the conservative
okay,
nature.
Yes, considering their conservative nature.
Yes, because I have this experience anytime I have to like go out of Kano for a show. I think the only show I did in Kano was that 2017. So after then, I'd be like, no, I would not limit myself to this place. I
What
am
were the
bigger.
challenges? What were the challenges?
The challenges were, first of all, the environment. They were like, you shouldn't be doing this stuff because
It's for women.
I think exactly. I
Yes,
was just
and-
going to say that because first of all, you said I want to do, I want to be a fashion designer. I say, okay, so you want to be a tailor, abi?
Exactly.
so
That
it
you be
was,
like, I want to make money because I know then, they normally didn't see tailors as people who would
Yeah.
become future multi-millionaires.
Yeah.
Then there's this.
Back then,
There's
they
this
used to sell for
stereotype about-
500 naira. Or
Yes,
1,000,
I remember.
so
Uh-huh.
There was
so
a
much
time
money.
there was a time I sold my complete school uniform. Was it 500 naira there about?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then the tailor didn't put a back pocket for me because my head was too small.
And the surprising thing in Kano still, they are cheap there. You can still sew a school uniform for 1,500, 2,000.
Okay. Now, can you tell us the difference between a tailor and a fashion designer? Because a lot of people say there's a whole lot of difference.
Okay. A tailor sits down, cuts the clothes himself. He goes through every
Process.
stage,
The whole process.
the process by himself. A fashion designer, luckily there are some fashion designers that are tailor, like Yomi Casual. He boastfully called himself a tailor. Yeah, and mostly the fashion designers in Nigeria here, they don't tailor.
Okay.
You understand? They just put the sketches together, bring out the design. They have people working for them and be like, okay, this is what I want. And there's something tricky about being a fashion designer. You have the picture, you have it even in paper, but you find it difficult that the tailor you're giving that outfit
Interpret it.
cannot
Cannot
really interpret it the way
Yes.
you want.
Yes, true. I
So
think
that-
I've heard of that challenge.
Yes, so
Okay, but would you say being an architect actually gave you an edge? Because architects actually draw really
Yes.
well.
it
Yeah.
did. It really gave me an edge.
Okay, so this now begs the question because I'm trying to wrap my mind around how then you would be able to generate income from, putting down sketches. One would beg to ask the
That's why
question,
they charge more now.
who then pays you? So do you take these sketches and sell to the tailor, or are you contracted by the tailor to make designs, or you're contracted by the clients who will be making these clothes from the tailor to make these designs? Just
There's
walk us
one
through
thing.
the
You know
process.
how things are like things in Nigeria are kind of like difficult.
Okay,
So
yeah.
everybody wants things to be easy for him. You find that's why I told you like moving to Abuja is like one of the things. You find corporate organization, corporate people, they don't have that time going to stores to take measurements and pick fabrics and start looking for designs and all.
True,
So
that's
those
the
fashion
tedious
designer comes
process.
in handy. I can just walk up to you, like come into your office now, and okay, you already know I'm a fashion designer, or you might say, what you're wearing, it looks good. I want something like that. I will just go ahead. I have my tape in my bag, like right now.
Oh, okay.
Just get your
You're
measurements.
working on the job.
Yes,
He's
yes.
a mobile fashion.
Yeah,
mobile,
get your
exactly.
measurements, and then I will ask you what kind of fabrics you want, what kind of design. Are you that subtle person, or you're kind of loud with your fashion? So that's how we just work it. Wow,
Okay,
it's easy as
so
that.
Okay, now,
Go on,
sorry.
go on, go on.
Tell us about your, biggest modeling accomplishments.
My biggest modeling accomplishment was Mr. Universe Nigeria, because I left Kanu with the mind that, okay, I'm going to win this thing. Okay, going there,
When was that?
it was February 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, because the questions were there. Like, imagine standing among 250 guys, and you made it to the top 30, and they were trying to scream for the top 15 because it was a house thing, just like a Big Brother thing.
Okay, reality
And
show of some sort.
yes, and it come along that they started asking me questions about, okay, you're a northerner, you're from north, and how would your people, relate to
Take
this?
it.
Yeah, because there will be parties, there will be, and I'd be like,
Okay, so
wow.
I think I quite understand that challenge because, owing to the fact that the North is, like you said earlier, a
Yeah.
conservative region who are not seen to go into flashy, flashy related lifestyles, if you would
Yes.
put it. So, and I think the only places where we've seen them really come out to perform is in terms of music and then movies. That is Kannywood and the Kano music we see.
Yeah.
It's just within this decade that we began to see Kannywood actors really take deliberate steps to, feature in Nollywood movies and even try as much as possible to gain recognition on the international scene. Now, that's by the way. I read on your profile that
Yeah.
at some point in your life you had to choose between your career and
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
What was that like?
What choice did you make?
Man, that really broke me at some point, because it was a situation that I know that definitely I really want this the certificate, because I know how long I strive to get there, and the Mr. Universe thing just came, and I'd be like, okay, Mr. Universe happens every year. And architecture, I think 2 weeks to my final project or something. If I thought it was something that I could just go, come back, fine. But it was a house thing, and I think we were going to stay in the house for like a month. And I couldn't do that, because architecture, the hours we spend drawing, the hours we
Yes.
spend, the sleepless night and all. And I'd be like, am I ready to go come back a year for this stress? I was like, no.
Okay, so one would expect, this is a follow-up, that you've been, practicing the act of, or the art of fashion designing long before you got into school.
Yeah.
So one would expect that you would maybe be in the applied arts department, like fine arts.
I've
So
heard
what's
that a
now
lot.
encouraged, the zeal to now study architecture, which is way outside the bands of what you were
Is it-
doing before you got
Is
into
it
school?
way out? Okay.
It is, of course, because I mean, you're designing clothes and then you start designing buildings.
But
There are
there's-
two.
they're
It's
actually
still
drawing.
design.
No,
It's
well, it's
Still
design,
design.
but one has to do with curved lines and the
Yes.
other sharp edges. So
Yeah.
one would just have to ask, or is it parents? Because I know
No,
at
no.
this
The
point they would
pressure,
say,
yeah, the
my
pressure
parents
they
say
put
I should
on
not do this.
children.
You will become a doctor.
Mine wasn't really parents, because if I thought it was my parents, believe you me, I wouldn't be sitting down here.
Okay.
Yeah, because they are this strict that they want you to be a banker, a doctor, an
That
architect. And so at some point, I grew up being a very stubborn child. Though.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Before he goes into that, let's just take a quick breather. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Daybreak Extra. We still have Jerry Mungai in the studio with us, talking about, navigating the Nigerian fashion space. Now, Jerry, I want to know, because you are a designer in as much as you are a model. What is your favorite design to wear, or style of cloth to wear?
Okay, I like vintage. Yeah.
I like vintage.
Vintage. There is something different about vintage, and the way you rock it, it's something else.
The way I don't understand.
I
But
understand.
a lot
I
of people, a lot
understand.
of people
I
actually
understand.
have or wear vintage, but they rock it different ways.
Yeah.
So how are you, as a designer now? Give me like some fashion tips. How are you supposed to rock vintage? Let's say I have a vintage shirt. How should I rock it?
Okay, if you're rocking a vintage, you should give it that spice of it being vintage. Maybe a boot,
A boot. Definitely a boot.
a boot, afro thing.
I don't know why I relate so much. Like this
Well,
is
you don't dress
excitement.
that way now.
Can you imagine?
You don't
We'll
dress
talk
that
after
way.
the program.
All right, but who
Yeah.
is your role model?
For the fashion
Yes,
industry,
Yes.
fashion, both fashion and
it
modeling.
happens
And
to
modeling.
be a lady because she is doing so well. Like anytime I see a designed a Nigerian lady, it's just speak volume.
What's her
Tiana.
name?
Tiana. Okay.
Yes, she is
Okay,
so
Tiana
good.
Empire in
Yeah,
Lagos.
she is so good
Yeah.
with the male and the female fashion
Wow.
outfit. And then again, let me say, Swanky, he's more of a stylist. Yeah, so, but I love the way he does his thing. Modeling, it's like, nah, maybe my own model. I
But,
just,
but since you're doing so well in it, then it's no surprise. I mean, it gives an opportunity for you to, oh wow,
Okay,
we
so
could
there's
see.
a picture
Yes.
of the
Yes.
Denrele, and you know, from what you said, you designed, you know, what he's wearing.
yeah, actually, I designed the inner one. The outer one was by Tiana, so we
Oh.
worked
Okay.
together
Oh,
on it.
you work together.
Yeah.
So, how were you able to, you know, come out with this? You know, because it's one thing for someone to actually tell you what they want, and it's
Yes.
another thing for you to bring out what's, you know, or meet their expectations. How were you able to, you know?
The funny thing
handle it.
about that outfit was, what I made that outfit, the intention I had was, okay, in Kano in North, I noticed that, okay, there is this thing about girls' sport wears.
Okay.
So I made that as a sport wear.
Oh.
It has like a short knicker inside of
Okay,
it.
okay,
And that was
sure.
just the concept. I'd be like, okay, even when the ladies are running or not sitting so well, it wouldn't reveal like
Okay, yes.
anything.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he saw it on the runway and he liked it.
Like a wrap short.
Yes,
Okay.
and he liked it, and he was like, I am going to use this to do something extra.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, really, you can go ahead and do whatever you want.
Okay.
So that was how this came out. And before you know it, I think I made like 5 of this. There's a Ghanaian actor. He used the name I Am Worthy on Instagram.
Okay.
I made one for him too. And some other models, one in Abuja here, one in Kano, and one in Lagos.
Okay, so what was the feeling, you know, having got to work with your role model? Because you just said that Tiana is your role model. So
Yeah.
how was the workflow? How was it entirely?
I was speechless. Like, I was scared because you know that feeling that you're with someone, you have this high regards, high this thing for. So you just be like trying to do everything with ease and carefulness, not to
Perfection.
just. Yeah, so that was how it was. But it was a good one. It was a good one.
Okay, so where are you right now in your career?
In my career now, I just relocate. I want to because kind of was a kind of like caging me.
Okay.
Yeah, because the idea mostly that I have, you can't wear them in Kano. The only time you get to wear them is when there is a show, and those shows happen like once in a year. So I feel like, okay, Abuja has that space. Things happen like weekly. So let me just come here, I'm at this stage, like I'm trying to like figure out where should I get, if it's a store, where should I get a store? How am I going to go about it? And how am I going to get into the fashion?
Abuja market.
Yeah, like this morning I woke up and it was interesting. The next men's fashion week will be in Abuja. So they are already calling up for exhibitors and fashion designers. So,
Hopefully we see some of your materials
yes,
in the show.
Yes.
Okay, you did mention earlier that you were a 7 core member.
Yeah.
So expectedly, we would see you finish service. And would you continue, you know, in the fashion line, or would we be seeing you shift to architecture at some point?
Fashion is it.
Okay.
Fashion is it. Like I like being in that circle. There's just this joy you get doing this. I get doing this thing because I don't know. It's just it comes in within.
Passion. Dashin, earlier you read something on the Daily Trust newspaper, a quote by Maya Angelou, which spoke about passion. It just
Yes.
made me remember. I don't know if you would just read it
Okay,
again.
well, she said life is going to give you just what you put in it. So put your whole heart in everything you do and pray, then you can win.
so
That's it.
will we say it's an interpretation
Yes,
of?
it is. Like it just spoke to me right now.
Okay.
That's to say that I should like put more effort to it because truly I love what I'm doing.
So
Okay, now when you talk about fashion, fashion has to do with trends, different trends, not every year, but every two
Yeah.
months, you know, something
You might
comes
be
up.
surprised it's every day.
I'm telling you,
No,
every
true.
day. So how are you able to keep up?
It's expensive. It's very expensive because
imagine.
okay, I don't know if you can remember yesterday conversation when you called me. I'm like, I don't know what to wear. Because yes,
Because
I
you
have
have
to.
so many clothes.
You have to go through that of okay. And there's one thing about trying to be trendy. You don't want even when you're trying to repeat an outfit, it has to be in a different style, like in a different homework game. I do that a lot, but this is not something that I can give an example with. I can wear this and tomorrow you might see it with me and you would never believe that this is the same outfit. Because I might just go and I'm like, okay, what color would be good to combine this with? I'll just rip the arms and put a black sleeves.
Okay, so I don't think I've ever ripped any of my clothes to
I
add
do
or
that.
remove
You don't have-
anything from
You
it.
don't have the luxury, so.
You do
Oh,
that.
okay, that's true.
That's one thing
But-
about fashion that we don't know. It's expensive, but with what you have, you can make it work.
You know, it's actually easier for you, and that's why I say he doesn't have the luxury.
Yes,
because
of course.
for you can actually rip it up and whip up something.
Something,
But for
yes.
him,
I'll
he's not
just
a
make
fashion
rubbish.
designer. He's not sick. He can't
I'll
actually
just
do
tear my
that.
clothes.
Or I might just one day wake up and turn this
To a
trouser
short.
to a short, and I'll rock it with a t-shirt.
Or
I'll-
you wear something, a different color.
good. Or I might
something.
just get a vintage fabric like this, make a button-down shirt, and I'm good. I'll use
That's
it to
where
go
the
to the beach.
creativity
And
comes in.
Okay, about that, fashion designers are trendsetters.
Yeah.
And you just spoke about pressures, but then again, are there times when you feel like, look, I'm under this intense pressure to create something new, which would drive conversation or change the conversation?
Okay. Yes, I think I did one. That was when I was in Kanu. The first time I still have a picture of it. I made an agbada with a stone embroidery, like completely. And the day I wore that, they be like, can I speak Hausa? Stones. Everywhere I go, some will applaud, some will just, start, giving some side talks and be like, God, what have I done? Is this really, what I want? And
But it was
another
a
thing will
fashion
come out and be
statement.
like, guy, this is okay, this is you, this is your creation. And more on Sunday, I was in church. I saw an elderly man with a kaftan and there was stone on it. I said,
So how do you block off negative comments?
Yes. Or stigma sometimes.
I just look at myself and be like, you've come this far, and it's too late right now to back down. Like even I think that was one thing that made me scale through that and Mr. Universe thing because they asked me such questions, my concept, the place I come from, and all that. I'd be like, whoa, I choose this for myself, and I am happy doing it. Anytime I'm not happy, I know what I feel. So I just intend to stay in that mood, like being happy. So if this is what makes me happy, if this is what rocks my boat, then I'm ready to dive in.
Okay, so the Nigerian market is such a big and diverse market which will accommodate any and every fashion trend that makes sense. However, that is just one market because we also have the global or the international market.
Yeah.
And with the advent of social media, it has become even more easy, to get this trend outside. So how would you say the international community or the international market is perceiving the Nigerian fashion industry or the Nigerian sense of fashion?
They are embracing it real good. Because as of way back when I was growing up, you never see a white man rock Ankara.
True.
Or Agbada or something.
True.
But these days, I think last year, someone rocked an Agbada to, I don't know if it's Oscar's red carpet or so. Yeah, and you see people like they rocking the Ankara, trying to wear the beads and the cowries. So it's encouraging right now.
Okay,
Yes.
so
So what ethics are actually important for, people in fashion?
One, you must be creative. Two, you must have this sense of humility because if you're not humble, man, there's so much that you have to go through in the fashion industry. So your humility will make you learn more. It will make you access more people. And with that, they'll be like, okay, this guy is down to it. I can put this guy through one or two mentoring classes and so. And then again, you have to just be diversified. Don't pick on just one trend and be like, okay, I'm going into this. But if that's what you think you would be good at, then fine. But, there are changes, things evolve.
Okay.
So don't,
Yes.
yeah.
Talking about evolution,
Yes.
how have you evolved since you started, and where do you hope to see yourself in like a few more years?
Yeah, when I started, I think I was just doing the basics, like okay, kaftan and whatever. But right now, I find myself going into tracksuits. Like there's a picture I sent you with the ski mask.
Okay.
I did that myself, but getting the fabric was difficult because all those things you have to go to Lagos and all of that. Me, what I am expecting, like what I want to be in the nearest future is all I see is I want to be able to compete with international design labels like Gucci and Versace. Right now, I am trying to work on a signature style or design that will make me distinct, just like they are.
Okay.
You understand? Because that thing is one factor that I think we at the fashion industry don't really see. Because if you don't have one good thing that will just, strike you out of everyone, they will just look at you as like regular, everybody, okay, you're just doing everything that everyone is doing. It's not like those international brands, they don't copy each other, they do. But they've already make a name for themselves by having that distinct difference.
Okay, so I love the trajectory that your dream is going, and I love dreamers, and I love the fact that you are one. However, it's going to cost a lot of money.
Sure, definitely.
Getting all of the required skills that you would need to do this. But then again, the cost of designing or sewing clothes, making clothes in Nigeria, is something that consumers or customers, on the other hand, have had a problem with.
Yes.
So, can you talk to us about some of your experiences?
The experience are glaringly is just because okay, we most of the designers are after the money. They are not really after putting a brand out there that everybody will see and be like, okay, this guy is really doing a different thing. Like we don't look. There are some things that when you pick up a design and you look, it's clean stitches. And for someone who is really into fashion, when he sees your stitches at first, he wouldn't tell you, guy, I'm not patronizing. He would just be like, okay, it's okay, I'm done. Let me just go. But once you check those international stuff, their stitches are clean as clean.
Okay.
So we find ourselves, we'll be like, why is it that they don't patronize like the homegrown designers?
Yes.
You're not giving your best. You're just doing it because okay, I want to be
want to
on.
make money.
I want to make money. I want
okay.
to be seen with so stylist, so celebrity. I've made clothes for them. But if you don't have like a good proper finish into your outfit, nobody will want to wear that.
All right. Well, just before we wrap up, do you own your own fashion label?
Yeah, I created one, Jeremiah Claudia. That was that 27 thing.
Okay, but
Yeah, but I don't have a location yet.
okay. So is it still that name, or do you think you want to rebrand?
I that name is there, but to an extent, I was thinking about man like Jerry because just like I said, I'm still working on making it a very standard brand. I just don't want to,
Rush.
Yeah, so I'm looking at man like Jerry will sell. I'd be like, we're going to just go to a store. You
Man
see
like
Adidas,
Jerry.
you see
Yes.
man like Jerry.
But then we have Swanky Jerry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's another
Okay.
thing. But then, what advice do you have for people who want to start their own
young
fashion
aspiring
label?
fashion designers.
You should be in for it because you love it, because you have a passion for it. Don't just wake up one day and say, people are making money through this. Let me just try my luck. Let me try my best. Because if you start like that, give or take, 1 month you back out.
Okay.
You back out, and at that 1 month, maybe you've already invested a lot in it. Yeah, because I know people who run a fashion house, but still yet nothing is happening. They just have the brand, they have the space, they have the money to pump everything, but nothing is working for them.
All right, thank you so much, Jeremiah, for gracing us with your presence on a Daybreak
you.
today. We hope to have you, when things have improved
Yeah.
more than this for you.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're still watching Daybreak Extra. We'll be right back.